a brahmachari. I am a very strict brahmachari. If he dies, and during the time of death, if you don't give him water, you become Brahma Rakshasa. Big Brahma Rakshasa. And he will come back to haunt the people who didn't give him water. Well, I have a vague idea that I should talk about a topic which passed my mind when I was talking on Saturday without any preparation as such. I have decided to talk impromptu on one issue which cropped up, but I didn't treat it properly during Saturday. I thought I'd do it today. This is not covered as such in the syllabus. This is something which is not in the syllabus, but something which I feel is equally important for our discussion. Well, we start. The discussion surrounding systems development in general focus largely on technical issues, and we know the reason why. Actually, whenever we are talking here on information systems, ultimately it's a technical product. We are talking about, again and again, what I say as the integrated view of software plus hardware plus whatever you talk about it, it's ultimately a technical product that you are talking about. So, necessarily the discussions on this topic will be purely technical in nature. But if anyone observes carefully the systems around, you will feel that it is not only the pure technicality of a product or a system which makes it tick, but there are some other factors. In the last talk, I named them specifically and told that apart from technicalities, you have to discuss two other aspects. One, ergonomics, and other aesthetics. I was mentioning about. Today I will elaborate on these two. So whenever we talk about system, necessarily we should talk about three things. One is the technical ways of how to build it, what are the issues. That's all one. On the other hand, we should also talk about ergonomics. Ergonomics is the science of making something usable. Ergonomics. And third, the aesthetic aspect of it. So, my focus today will be to see how ergonomics and aesthetics can be discussed in the systems. I completely understand why the textbook authors don't consider these topics. For these two issues are very, very subjective compared to technical issues which are very, very objective. Is a system working? Does the system work according to the particular quality metric, or is the system reliable? We can measure and say it is science. But just because a building is built according to the calculations, does the house become more living friendly? You may have observed that building a house, up to a certain level, there is a lot of technicalities involved. What should be the size of the beam? What should be the strength of the pillars, the columns? There is calculations involved. But just because a house is built perfectly and precisely according to a particular calculation, do you feel that that house is living friendly? Sometimes, when we enter a house, I am just posing this as a question. Just when you enter a house, there is something which we can't express. Like, can I use the word warmth? Something. that you suddenly feel that this house is okay, regardless of whether it meets technical specifications or not. When you use a product, you are not talking about the specific technical details of it. When you talk about electronic product, you talk about the capacity, capacitors, transistors and whatnot. When you look at a TV, a plasma TV, do you talk about the technicalities involved, or will you say, no, I like it? Something is there which is beyond the technology, beyond the numbers, beyond the science. What is that? It's very difficult. That is the reason why people who write on this topic avoid this topic completely. It's very difficult to write on. It is better to be safe by discussing the non-human components of a system. Computers, machines, reliability, this is simple. But that does not mean that we should not worry about this. We should necessarily be at least sensitive to this. That is major. One of my favorite, all-time favorite architects, Christopher Alexander, very clearly said that every building will have a quality without a name. For Christopher Alexander, quality was not something which you could quantify. How do we measure quality today? More using metrics, more using certifications, ISO, CMM, that, this and all. Christopher says that quality is something which does not have a name. Quality without a name is the idea he gave. He elaborated on that and said quality is like oxygen. Quality is something like oxygen. If it is there, you will never feel it. The moment it is not there, you will feel. You can instantly come to know that it's not there. Many people use the same metaphor to say many things. I don't want to elaborate. Something is like oxygen. If it is there, you will never feel it. But if it is not there, you will definitely feel it. You can replace the word quality with many other terms. The sense is same. So what is this quality without a name? How do we understand it? In more formal terms, we understand it using two terms: ergonomics and aesthetics. What is ergonomics? Making the system more usable. In computers, there is a notion of a formal field of study known as human-computer interaction. Human-computer interaction. It has advanced itself to become a full-fledged field called haptics. There is also a field of study called as user interface design. User interface design asks you to think on how to make the system more user-friendly. I don't know, somebody may offer you that course as an elective in the next semester. But I want to ask you a very generic question before I take up the issues. Whenever you decide whether a software is usable or not, what are those important parameters, can list it 1, 2, 3, which you think are primarily responsible for making or unmaking a software usable? What is the usability factor in software? Which software are more usable and which are not? This is what it means. Huh? What is that which makes a software usable or not usable? You feel? What is that? No. There is a software. So what makes you feel? That's what I am asking. Is it the color? Is it the typefaces used? Is it the way the background and the foreground colors are matched? Huh? The speed of
execution, where you have to put something, its result immediately comes.
It should come immediately. There is one guideline which is called 2-minute principle in user interface design. That means anyone who starts using the system should be comfortable with the system within 2 minutes of using it. If you can do it, if it is that intuitive, One is this TV remotes. There is no universal standard in TV remotes if you ask. What button should do what and what symbol should denote what. There is no universal way. You will be very comfortable with your TV remote. The moment you go to your cousin's house and start working on that remote, you will feel like an alien, not knowing what to do. Add to it the complexity of a DTH and all the complex operations that are now associated with the remote. That I feel is an example of a very badly designed product. There is one more product which I definitely hate for its lousy design. Oh, I don't have it. My pen drive. A simple pen drive has missed one important thing in its design. Has anybody felt? There's something primarily wrong in its design. For usability purpose, we are speaking of usability. I face problem with the pen drive in the sense that we don't know which side should be up when we insert. You try one, again turn right. I feel it's a design mistake. Design mistake. Design mistake. The easiest solution for this problem was put a special mark to denote that this side up. Simple. Solves half of the world's problem. Imagine every person who is using the pen drive facing the same problem at least 10 times a day. What is that we are talking about? Isn't problem. Usability. My engineering design course which I handle for first year students, I keep telling them that design at the end of the day is more about common sense. At the end of the day, if you look at it, good design is nothing but common sense. But unfortunately, that is what is lacking. So we have to teach common sense. I have huge problem with many products. I have a huge problem with Chinese teacups. I don't know why they have designed it that way that you can't lift it. I don't know how you are supposed to pick it like that. Scissors. Normal paper scissors. I don't know what they think the whole world is influenced by Kareena Kapoor and wants to go size 0. That their fingers will be so small that they can insert with that. Paper, scissors. It's impossible to insert your finger and do it meaningful off. Always try. You know what makes people design such products all the time? But anyway. So making a product usable is largely what I call as common sense. But when it comes to computer science, we have a host of problems. Of course, how to make the software more user-friendly, we have come a long way. From the days of command-based interface, today we have touch-based interface, we have come a long way, yes. But in this journey, we have missed one important point, which I keep saying. Which when we design our system, all of you are designing some system or other. In the future also you will design. We never bother about two issues. One, accessibility. Second, L10N and I11N. Localization and internationalization. Two issues which we never bother about when we design the software. Let me focus on these two. One is accessibility. Universally, everybody assumes that whoever uses computer has right kind of eyesight and right kind of body movements. We are not even bothering to worry about those people who can't see or can't use all their 10 fingers properly. We are not making the software accessible to those people. That is our main problem. We don't even think when we are designing the software that we have to include them also. That is one problem with this. The second problem with this is that we are all assuming that When we are building an application, the default language to be used is English. Localization of a product or internationalization of a software is never thought of. Especially in the case of e-commerce kind of application when we are developing. How are you assuming that your entire user base is English literate? What about those people who do not know English but still want to use your website to do the business? Will you lose them? What amount of population in this world can speak and communicate in English? So, my point here is very simple. Making the software more user friendly, there are technical issues which I won't go. But I want you to focus on two issues: accessibility and internationalization of your software. Will you do that as a question? Will you at least think about how to make your software more accessible to diverse kind of people? There are solutions, please. No. There are screen reading softwares. There are voice to text converting systems. Have you even thought of integrating them in your software? How will the system look with all these things integrated? It will look good, right? More accessibility, more international level kind of accessibility. It will look good for your software. So I want you to spend some time in thinking on these issues. Yes, right. One. This is again very easy to discuss. I'll come to more controversial topic. Aesthetics. Sense of beauty. Can software be beautiful is a first question. Can software be beautiful? Can you call a software as beautiful software? Don't know. I've seen people, and I also partially agree that beauty can be associated with different things. For example, I firmly believe that the jeweler's identity, e to the power of I pi plus 1 equals 0. I personally consider that's a very beautiful equation. Mathematicians always say that certain kinds of numbers are very beautiful. Recurring patterns, for example, Fibonacci series. It's very beautiful. Why? Why? Because that's a pattern which is so very observable in nature. Fibonacci series is observable in nature, right? The way plants grow, leaves come out of a tree, that's a Fibonacci series. Or the way the circular curves are made on the surface of the shell, fish shell or whatever you call it. Any of the chippu that happens in that way. So there is a recurring pattern. When can you consider something as beautiful is a very tough question. Is this beautiful? Okay. So this is not beautiful. This is a folk product. Well, let us agree on one point first, then later we can discuss or debate. I hope all of you will have the opinion that the concept of beauty is very, very subjective. That is, if we put it to vote here in the class on whether this object is beautiful or not, there will be no universal agreement. If I replace this bottle with a poster of a female actor also, that will be the case. Meaning, do we agree that the idea or the perception of beauty is not universal? There is a opinion general among people that beauty is very, very subjective. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder. Don't need a paisa, I don't need a poison. Right? So it's all there. Those kinds of ideas are already there. Is there anyone can propose a counter position for this. That is theoretically at least argue that the concept of beauty is very, very universal in nature. And there is something called as beauty which all of us should accept. Otherwise, there is no point in discussing at all. If you conclude by saying that beauty is a concept which is very, very subjective, close the book, go, because beauty for you, beauty, your beauty, my beauty is my beauty. It's not so. Can anybody propose a counter argument for saying that beauty is actually universal? That is, if something is beautiful, it is beautiful only. There is no argument on it. Or in other words, I can put it in another way. Can we argue for the point that beauty is the property of the object? Good. This is good. Nobody can question the property of an object. This bottle now. There are certain physical properties of this. We can weigh this, we can measure it. These are all properties. You can't have diverse opinion on its weight. Correct? We will weigh it and everybody should agree that this bottle weighs this much. Like that, can beauty be a property of an object? If beauty is the property of an object, regardless of what your opinion is, it should hold good. So beauty is not the property of it.
More like a very much depends upon the situation, sir. Like after a very long tiring day in hot summer, if there is a nice shower, 99 out of 100 people will call it beautiful. Situations like those, sir. In a full moon night, sir, everyone will call it beautiful. It is more like a property only.
That's what I am arguing. So is beauty the property of an object or not is the basic question.
No.
It's very subjective.
Maybe you like something and I don't like that. You say that that's beautiful, I shouldn't do it. So it can be the property of that.
I will go for my proposition. My proposition is this. My stand, I will tell it in the very beginning. I am going to prove that beauty is the property of an object which nobody can argue upon. Right? Beautiful ಆಗಿದ್ರೆ ಎಲ್ಲರೂ ಒಪ್ಪಬೇಕು. ಇಲ್ಲ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಇಲ್ಲ. How? Let's start our argument like this. Start with basics. Consider that this is beautiful for you, right? For time being. Let us assume. Why do you try to feel that this is beautiful? What is that which makes you feel that this is beautiful? Let me put it in a formal way like this. There may be 3-4 possibilities. One is sensual pleasure. Sensual pleasure. You see it or you hear a good music. You see something. You feel. We don't know why you feel, but there is a sensual pleasure that you enjoy while seeing something or while hearing a good piece of music. Something. One reason. Second reason, very controversial, but I think it's true, is if you feel that you need some object, you long for it, that object becomes beautiful for you. You want that object. Nobody will say this is beautiful. If I ask do you want it, you will not say no. What I am trying to propose is objects which you want appear beautiful to you. If you want something, I like a particular car. I want to drive it. Therefore it looks beautiful for me. I want to wear diamond, therefore diamonds are beautiful to me. So what I am proposing is, you have an interest in that object. You have an interest in that object. Therefore that object looks beautiful. That's my first argument. Let me continue. If you replace, this is the reason, actually this interest, this is the reason why different kinds of people have different senses of beauty. Each individual they are different, but taken at a larger level, the topic of aesthetics itself, what makes beautiful, differs from culture to culture, Precisely because of this reason. The Indian sense of beauty is very different from Western sense of beauty, is very different from Islamic sense of beauty to Chinese sense of beauty. What everyone feels is beautiful is quite different because of this reason only. Because the people and the object, there is a point of interest. For example, in India, poetry is beautiful, everyone agrees. But how should the poetry be? There is a difference. In India, we feel that there should be a structure. Chandusum Karikam. Yamata Rajagama Saragam. Mateva Vikritata Vrata.